Okay, so we are done with the YouTube live. We are now live on YouTube. In yes, so we need to start the session. Welcome all to the IIARP Glevento International Conference. This conference is organized by IIARP in association with Glevento. I am Dr. Shakir, the coordinator in the session chair for this conference. I hope that you already got the program schedule and other instructions for this session. As you know that for this session, you will have 10 minutes to present your PPT, and you will have 3 to 4 minutes for question and answer session. And I will mention it here that after the completion of all the presentations, we will have Q&A session, mean question and answer session. You can bring your questions to ask, or if you have any comments for other participants, or if you have suggestion, even if you have questions for publication or conference certificates or other related things, you can ask it in Q&A session. And those participants who are unable to attend the Zoom live session, they can send their PPTs in video format, and we will upload it to our YouTube channel. And they can see it later. We will share the link, and they can see it on the YouTube. And for every presentation in this session, we will assess all the papers, and based on that assessment, the best paper and the best presentation will get an award in the form of certificate. The certificate will be shared after the conference and will be sent to your email. So that's all regarding this conference, and we need to not waste the time and start the session. But before that, I think it's quite important to share my screen and show you something about this organization, IIARP. Let me see where is my PPT? Can you see the screen?
Yes.
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 Okay, thank you. So this is IIARP, International Institute of Academic Research and Publication. And IIARP is a dynamic conglomeration of academia and professionals dedicated to promote research and innovation, making a significant global impact. The primary objective of IIARP is to unite researchers and professionals from around the world, fostering an intellectual development and facilitating opportunities for networking and collaboration, which is, I think, the main purpose of any conference. That should be the most important purpose. This organization is actively engaged in various academic activities, including networking events, meetings, conferences, workshops, research projects, and additionally, we are committed to publishing cutting-edge research publications and recognizing outstanding achievements through academic awards and scholarships as well, providing scholarships as well. That's also very important activity by IIARP. These are some of the associates and partners such as Glevento, Conference Alerts 360, and Manuscript Edit by IIARP. All these things and the information, regarding these are available on our website. Okay, and what basically IIARP involved in, or what they are doing, what IIARP do. The first important thing is the world-class networking to connect with the global community of researchers and scholars and industry experts in our conferences and other academic events. Involved in national and international conferences, and presenting the scholarly work on a global stage with the important innovative findings. Here are academic journals publication. IIARP provide this service as well to help scholars publish their papers in the form of proceedings and journal publications as well. So IIARP is a well-known organization dedicated to fostering global scientific and academic collaboration with a rich history of organizing international and national conferences. IIARP has made significant contribution to different fields of studies. Our extensive network spans across different countries, including South Asian countries such as Bangladesh, also Egypt, India, uh, Indonesia, Japan, Malaysia, Nepal, and many more other countries and top cities around the world. Here are the publication opportunities for the participants, such as your abstract will be published in the conference abstract proceeding book with the DOI number. And you can also choose to publish your paper in the peer review journal. And those journals are indexed by Douch, Google Scholar, and other important databases. With and your they all those journals have DOI and ISSN. You can also choose to publish your paper in the Scopus and Web of Science Index journals. Uh, that's also an important aspect of IIARP conferences. They provide an opportunity to the participant to publish their manuscript in these journals. And beside this, IIARP provide a comprehensive academic publishing, editing, manuscript editing support, including evaluation, journal submission, and all the things that are required for a paper to be successfully published in a journal. All these things, services are provided by IIARP. Later, if you need it, we can provide you the contact of our publication team, and you will be guided step by step how to do how to publish your manuscript successfully. So here are some of the publication requirements. I will not mention and discuss these things. If you're really serious to publish your paper in Scopus and peer review journal, later I will share the WhatsApp number. You can come to inquire about the process, and our team will guide you step by step. These are some of the examples of how did we publish in different journals such as Scopus Q1, Web of Science Index Journal, and Google Scholar journals as well. These are some of the past conferences organized by IIARP and Glevento. Online conferences, offline conferences, and you can visit IIARP's websites, www.iiarp.org to explore more about IIARP. One thing more I will mention here, to be environmental friendly, we will send the conference proceeding and the certificates in soft form to your email. It's very important. We need to be environmental friendly and not to waste the paper and print such things. I think nowadays it's very important in every organization doing that. It's very important thing. So you will receive all the certificate and the proceedings through your email after the session in soft form only. Okay, so that's all from my side. And now I'm coming toward the program schedule. And we have the first paper. Paper ID is 218. The paper title, Legal Psychology and Mental Health Ethics, a Framework for Conflict Resolution in Customs Clearance and Procedure Workspaces, to be presented by Surya. Please come and share your screen.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, please.
Can I share my screen now?
Yes, please. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Just a minute. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I am Surya. I am a research scholar from Sarita School of Law. Today, my presentation is on a new framework for conflict resolution in customs clearance, focusing on the critical intersection of legal psychology and mental health ethics. The key focus of my research is exploring how human emotion, cultural factors, and administrative structures influence disputes in customs operation. We propose an innovative framework centered on in-house mediation and psychological support to significantly reduce delays, cost, and conflicts in international trade. Our research mainly concentrate upon how the psychology, law, and organizational behavior of the people in the customs clearance and procedures could help in enhancing the HR policies to enact the ratio of the gap which has been present in the literature in terms of emotional imbalance of the human psychology that could be a major reason for conflicts that are increasing in the business directly or indirectly. So in order to address it, the human factor needs to be concentrated more. That too, the conflicts, as we already know, conflicts are basically created by the humans, and conflicts are inevitable when group of people work in a complex situation during the customs clearance sittings, driven by differences in thinking, communication, and stress response. One of the major problems that are identified from the literature includes the traditional conflict resolution arbitration or litigation, which is inadequate because it overlooks the most critical element, the people themselves. So why the psychology matters? The psychology matters because that drives the conflict behavior that could provide the reason for our research, which shows conflicts stem from root causes beyond just procedure errors, specifically communication gaps and cultural differences, emotional stress from time and cost pressures, power dynamics, and poor organizational structure. In the context of Indian cultural psychology, a foundation for understanding, to resolve conflicts effectively in an Indian context, we must understand its unique cultural psychology, derived from its 5,000-year Vedic old culture. The key cultural derives includes the cosmic collectivism, a holistic worldview emphasizing collective harmony and relationships over individual interest. Hierarchical collectivism, a social order which are based on factors like caste, age, creating distinct power dynamics crucial for mediators to navigate. And the spiritual orientations, Vasta, the concept of maintaining balance between the mind and the environment, offering tools for stress management and emotional regulation. The emotional intelligence and conflict dynamics. Speaking one of the concept over this conflict dynamics, the emotional intelligence is pivotal in conflict resolution. We identify two primary emotional regulation strategies in workplace. The key strategies includes reappraisal, re-evaluating emotional stimuli to change behavioral responses, which increases job satisfaction and work quality. This is essential for effective group work. And suppression, controlling emotional expression. While sometimes necessary, excessive suppression is linked to long-term stress and increased conflict, a risk in hierarchical environments. And the duality. Indian professionals often navigate a duality between collectivistic tendencies, protecting group interests, and individualistic thoughts, personal goals, leading to unique collective conflict patterns. One of the major conflict factors in customs clearance is mainly derived through the data analysis, where our research surveyed 184 customs professionals to identify the major drives of disputes and delays. The data is so clear that the top conflict factors has been identified. That includes a cultural and communicational barriers, that is 89.5%, which is identified as a primary conflict driver, encompassing poor management and misunderstanding. The second is the human behavioral factors, that is of 88.4%, where the body language and tone significantly influence conflict escalation. The stakeholder relationship, that is 82%. The critical dependencies between customs house agents and exporters and customs officers do have that gap. And the other key drivers includes that the technical difficulties, 90.2% of document delays from ICE gate issues, knowledge gaps leading to costly rejections, and severe power dynamics, with 97.3% acknowledging the pressure from customs from both legal and illegal actions. The cost of the traditional conflict resolution is mainly derived from the data which we have obtained as an output, which includes the current legal approach fails because it doesn't address these human organizational root causes. The drawbacks of arbitration and litigation are still significant. Resolution can take over 5 years and cause massive financial losses and trust erosion. It also leads to prolonged stress, increased illegal activities, and delayed clearances. So some of our research finding includes our statistical analysis inconclusive, where the reliability alpha value is 0.939, where the cost and time are directly related to poor management and mediation, and a strong correlation of R square, that is 0.94. Conflicts strongly correlate with financial and temporal losses. And from the data obtained with the statistical analysis, with the aspect of correlation and the R square value, we have been into the solution that we need to adopt an in-house psycho-legal mediator, where we propose a revolutionary solution embedding a psycho-legal mediator, a specialist combining legal expertise with psychological insight with customs organizations. So with the aspect of mediator's 5-point role, early intervention, identifying and addressing misunderstanding immediately at inception, and providing counseling, stress management, and emotional intelligence training to stressed employees. Ensuring compliance with Customs Act 1962 and correct documentation to prevent rejections. Building trust and clarifying expectations through transparent dialogue between all parties. Navigating language barriers and different business practices in international operation. Required qualification in order to adopt an in-house mediators in the conflict procedures includes the ideal mediator requires a unique comprehensive skill set to handle this complexity. The core requirements includes the 5 C's, that is credential, an MBA in finance or specialized degree in customs with deep understanding of Customs Act, training in counseling, stress management, and ability to read body language and manage emotions, 10 to 15 years of professional experience in customs clearance operation by excellent skills across hierarchical levels to facilitate difficulties, conversation, and build consciousness, and understanding diverse cultures and strong ethical foundation to resist corruption pressures. The research methodology and our findings are robust based on quantitative analysis with SPSS on data from 184 customs professionals supplemented by 40 in-depth interviews. Statistical significance includes all our hypotheses showed outstanding reliability and highly significant correlation where the p-value was less than 0.000. This statistically confirms that emotional factors, management quality, stakeholder relationship, and resolution methods critically impact customs clearance efficiency. Implementation of CETA model. Speaking point, to implement this solution, we propose the CETA model, a step-by-step framework by proactive intervention. The situational assessment, where evaluating the context, stakeholders and urgency, emotional analysis, access emotional states and identify stress triggers, ethical framework ensures compliance, resists corruption, time management, implement immediate intervention protocols, holistic resolution, address root causes and rebuild trust, adaptive learning, continuously refine process and train staff. This is the paradigm shift from reactive legal battle to proactive psychological intervention. We expect to see resolution time reduced from years to days, weeks. Massive cost savings can happen and improve relationship and enhancement employee
Sorry
well-being.
for interruption. You have 2 more minutes, so please conclude it. Thank you.
This framework positions human well-being and emotional intelligence at the center of the efficient international trade. And thank you. I am now ready for questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you for presenting your findings, and we will have Q&A session later after this session, and other participants can come to participate, ask question or provide suggestion. Now we are moving toward the next paper by the same presenter, and the paper ID is 223. Please come forward and share your screen to present your paper. Thank you. 2, 2, 3.
Good morning. Today I will be presenting on exploration of methods in policy making theory, specifically focusing on intersection of economic principle and practical policy in India. Good. Acknowledging the context, this work is comprehensive study drawing from neoclassical economics, decision-making frameworks and international principles. This research was conducted by Surya S. and the co-authors includes Asha Sundaram and Thangamayam Sir from Savita School of Law, CMATS. The evolution of economic thought, the crisis of reunions competitions. Modern economic thought emerged from 19th century foundations. Adam Smith's work established marketization and global trade, leading to the laissez-faire economy with minimal government intervention. However, this era faced a major crisis called reunious competition. Instead of rational competition, firms pursued domination, leading to problems like unemployment, wage exploitation, and unstable markets. The crisis was characterized by arbitrary administered prices set by firms, causing production to decline dramatically in key sectors like agriculture and automobiles. The birth of modern economic policy. The crisis of the early 20th century, which reached worldwide, necessitated a fundamental shift in theory, leading to the emergence of modern macroeconomics in the 1930s. John Maynard Keynes' general theory was revolutionary. It established interventionist policies based on pure social science, providing frameworks and legislative rules to eradicate economic crises. This theoretical change was cemented in policy, notably with America's Employment Act in 1946, which marked a crucial shift towards an interventionist, centralized government authority to address labor issues and employment crises. The alternative framework, the Bayesian consensus. Following the US economic crisis of the late 70s and 80s, which led to the Washington Consensus, China developed an alternative framework, the Bayesian consensus. This consensus rejected wholesale westernization and emphasized five key elements, that is, localization of best practices, implementing practical rules adopted to local socio-economic governance, market plan combination, a caged marketization approach blending socialism, communism, and capitalism, policy rights and stability, guiding policy with the slogan stability overwhelms anything else, self-reliance and innovation, driving strategic competitiveness through constant industry upgrading in technology and engineering, financial liberalization, freedom for marketization to enhance business relationship. The rational decision making in economics came into emergence, moving to micro level. Our framework is built on the foundation of rational decision making. The fundamental principle is that rational people always think at the marginal. Rational thinking involves using logical institution, past experiences, and problem solving concepts. It is driven by knowledge, intelligence, imagination, and practical logic. We analyze this through our four lenses: strategic rational thinking, predefined procedures, tactical implementation using algorithms for complexity, paradigms of life, set industry procedures, and modular rationality, alternative methods for tough situations. Neoclassical economics and time. When applying neoclassical economics to real-world problems, we must always consider the factor of time and its consequences. The Hayek problem provides framework for economic statements and solution based on knowledge with timeless consideration. This assumes consistency with rational decision making regardless of time and duration. The static models, which is the traditional static models like walls, assumes endless time validity for equations involving endogenous and exogenous variables. However, this is challenged by concepts like von-Borbeck theory, where the production period is directly related to time, making time a scarce resource, reflecting on opportunity cost. The knowledge in economics. This nature of knowledge is the central to economic decision making. Individual knowledge is created through experience, but its own does not solve problems. Knowledge is consistent and plays a role in decision making. For example, the theory of preferences shows consumers' action are based on their knowledge of preferences, prices, and budget. When decisions fail, individuals change behavior and based on acquired knowledge. This process involves a critical response to error, including skepticism and a readiness to rectify, which is essential for adaptive economicizing. Indian economic policies, where it has faced the challenges and solutions are need to be implemented. Applying these principles to India, we see several practical policy challenges. Behavioral economics helps create guidelines to enhance decision capability for managers. Practical challenges in India that are RBI monetary policy tightening has caused economic inconvenience due to heavy borrowings. Political indecisiveness. Politicians often lack the economic understanding to address societal problems effectively. Heavy market borrowings. Wide borrowings has increased interest rate. Lack in basic social infrastructure lead to persistent unemployment and poverty. Strategic solution addressing the inflation where include implementing rational tax codes instead of raising tax rates, managing fiscal deficits, and central bank reconsideration of exchange rate and reserve management. India outsourcing industry in HR perspective. India highlights both macro and micro human resources challenges. This sector has shown steady growth within significant revenue from software, BPO, and RDG development. The gross SAPNOT is in the year 2024 to 25, where the revenue is 47.88 overall. The employment is 1.67, direct employment with the BPO segment being the most dominant. Critical challenges. Despite the growth, there are critical stages in skilled labor, high turnover rates, and increasing human resources costs. Significant time is spent on training on communication, grammar, and soft skills. So the principle of economic progress and collaboration. To summarize, economic progress is achieved by integrating theory and practice, based on core principle. People make decision driven by trade-offs, opportunity, cost, rational marginal thinking and incentives. Free trade benefits everyone and markets provide super organization. Living standards depends on production ability and government intervention must be carefully considered. Long-term development requires a strategic focus on increasing the skill labor supply, improving language skill and enhancing public transportation. Ultimately, a collaborative framework is necessary. Industries plus government plus education institution must work together to improve technical skills, enhance the economy and establish job search and training programs. Thank you. I welcome your questions.
Thank you so much for presenting your findings, and we will have Q&A session later. Other participants can keep their questions and suggestion for the Q&A. And now we are coming toward the next paper. The paper ID is 856. The paper title is New Liberal Ideology and Socio-Ecological Crisis, to be presented by S. Hornung. Are you available?
Oh, yes, I'm here.
Yes, so please share your screen.
Yeah, can you see me? The light is
Yes.
not ideal. Give me a second. I hardly be here. Give me a second. I have to maybe change my light condition. Does somebody else want to go first?
I think you can just share your screen and I think, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I have a light source right above me. As you may know, it is pretty early where I'm from, so it's 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning, and so it's still dark. That's why the light is not optimal. Anyway, I will do my best, and I will try to share my presentation. And can you see this now?
It's sharing right now. Yeah. It's visible, yeah.
Can you see the slide moving?
Yeah. It's not moving. Yeah, it's moving. Yeah.
It is
Good.
moving? Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for your patience in this. Happy to talk to you this morning. As has been said, the title is Neoliberal Ideology and Socio-Ecological Crisis. And it's I will briefly present to you some research that I've been conducting with my colleagues at the University of Innsbruck. So when we're talking about the crisis today, oftentimes we would use terms like poly-crisis or multi-crisis. And what this refers to is that we're not only facing the formidable challenge of climate crisis, global warming, as you all know, but actually a compounding of different crises that exponentiate each other. So we have the climate crisis, we have especially in Europe, the so-called refugee crisis, which is partly triggered by climate change. And we have increasing a crisis of liberal democracies in Europe, but also, as you know, in the United States, so the rise of right-wing populism that partly rallies against measures of climate change, but also against migration. And so these this kind of polycrisis, this compounding of different crises and the associated blowbacks, economic crisis, political crisis, resource wars, poverty, societal polarization. And the common denominator of this is the current economic system, which can be described as a neoliberal financial shareholder capitalism and research in social sciences, sociology, but also psychology has recently started to address this socially, but also psychologically corrosive aspects of this particular economistic ideology. So transforming societies, which we need to do if you want to challenge climate change, requires understanding and challenging this underlying ideology. So what I present to you today is 3 empirical studies. One is a survey study on the influence of neoliberal ideology on individual climate protective behavior. The second one is looking at neoliberal ideology in the context of the current refugee crisis in Europe, and also a survey study. And the last one is a qualitative interview study on the psychological internalization of neoliberal ideology among the socioeconomically disadvantaged. So a survey study with 9 people in long-term unemployment. As I said, time is pretty tight, so I will only briefly talk about these issues. Here, the background of the studies, first of all, is how does the political economic ideology of neoliberalism undermine individual climate protective behavior? The second one, in the context of the climate crisis. The second one, how the internalization of this ideology undermines empathy and active solidarity with people seeking refuge. And then the second study, this interesting phenomenon, why people internalize an ideology they have nothing to gain from, but actually that disadvantages them. So if you talk about neoliberal ideology, it's an economistic ideology that has been first developed by the anti-collectivist Montpellier Society in post-war Europe. You may know that the first neoliberal experiment was the fascist dictatorship in neoliberal Chile under the military dictatorship of Augusto Pinochet, which was supported by the Chicago School of Economics. It became the base of Thatcherism and Reaganism in the 90s, and today has become pretty much a global ideology, a hegemonic that means not really questioned. And if you know, the basic aspect is deregulation of markets, increase of those entrepreneurial freedoms, low taxes for capital, privatization of common public companies, and reduction of environmental laws and labor laws and all this. So the neoliberal model is this hyper-capitalist financial stakeholder capitalist model. So if we talk about neoliberal ideology, it also has psychological dimensions, and we talk about this adherence to a political economy of ideology of individualism, competition, and instrumentality. I will talk about this briefly, just to illustrate. Probably know this number, that 1% of the global population appropriates more than 50% of the global wealth, and more than 50% of the global population has to do with 1%. So very skewed, very unequal, actually quite insane distribution. And we also know that climate change is to a large extent caused by economically developed countries and especially people. So that's the climate footprint. System justification theory is the theoretical basis of our research, and it basically has has been very well empirically laid out. And one of the claims, or one of the theoretical aspects, is that people have a very strong motive to rationalize, to justify the present status quo of the society they live in. And so research has addressed several of those ideologies, like fair market ideology, economic system justification, but also right-wing authoritarianism. This, we know, has a palliative effect. People feel better if they adopt these ideologies. And if we talk about ideology, what we mean is a system of ideas, practices, and discourses that normally are constructed and disseminated top-down in society by elites that have to that benefit from them, but they also bottom up, adopted by people based on their psychological structure, and we can also say psychological vulnerabilities. So neoliberal ideological beliefs are market-based, political, economic ideas and practices and discourses that justify social and economic inequality. We draw on a concept of neoliberal ideology I already mentioned by Ball and Dorsey. We have developed a measure for this. The 3 dimensions are individualism, the high emphasis on self-responsibility and self-interest of the individual, competition, the need to dominate and outperform others to be successful, and instrumentality, using economic performance as a criterion for human worth. Well, these kind of may sound common sense, and if they do, that's also part of the idea of ideology that thinks become very commonsensical and are not questioned. We believe that the perspective on ideology helps to get psychology out of this very individualistic focus, because we can think society with it, if you remember the definition of ideology as constructed and disseminated by elites in society. Now, these are results of the studies. First of all, we found that neoliberal ideology is influenced by system-justifying attitudes, and it's detrimental to climate protective behavior, which, together with income, increases the individual carbon footprint. And in the second study, we found that neoliberal ideology promotes moral disengagement from the treatment of refugees in the Western countries, and undermines active solidarity. That means distributing information, signing petitions, engaging in discussions, attending rallies. And in the last study, we found that neoliberal ideological beliefs are internalized by people in precarious life situations. So in this qualitative study, we found a kind of internalized inferiority by these people, but also internalized competition, and an amalgamation, a mix, a combination of a neoliberal, market-based, but also xenophobic, so crypto-fascist and racist themes. I will briefly go through the studies. This is the design of the first study: system justification, neoliberal ideology, climate protective behavior, aspects of climate consciousness, environmental attitudes, knowledge and connection with nature, in the end, the estimated carbon footprint. We don't have a lot of time, so these are the methodological slides. This is the model, and here are the results based on structure equation model, and basically what you just saw. So the conclusion is that market-based consumer society convey very contradictory messages on climate protective behavior to individuals. On the one hand, there is growing climate consciousness. On the other hand, this neoliberal ideology, which is highly individualistic, competitive and instrumental and consumption-oriented, kind of undermines and overcompensates this. And we know this already on the macroeconomic scale, like on an extractivist, growthist economy, but we also see here reflected as a fractal, you might say, on the individual level. Second, the idea I told you about moral disengagement, these cognitive mechanisms that people use to decouple their own behavior from their ethical standards in terms of moral justification, euphemistic labeling, advantages comparison, distribution of responsibility. So we are not responsible. We reframe things and we make them somehow seem better, but also we dehumanize oftentimes the victims, attribute blame to themselves. So somehow they brought it over themselves. Again, here are the methodological slides. We developed a scale here on moral disengagement from the treatment of asylum seekers, which I believe is quite promising. And these are the statistical results. We found that moral disengagement from the treatment of asylum seekers mediates the relationship between neoliberal ideological beliefs and civic engagement for people seeking refuge. So the roots of moral disengagement, lacking solidarity and civic engagement, can actually be found in the corrosive ideology of neoliberalism, emphasizing complete self-reliance of people, competition for resources, and instrumentality of humans for economic ends. Lastly, the third study I mentioned, system justification theory, draws on this concept of false consciousness to explain why people would adhere to, would internalize ideologies that they have nothing to profit from. See, people who would profit from redistribution measures, people who are poor or in political and economic precarious situations, often vote for very elitist parties, say, that do not address their needs. So drawing on system justification, we looked at this, these 9 people in a precarious life situation and long-term unemployment, and conducted interviews with them. And we found, again, here you see the slides, there were 9 people. This was a semi-structured interview, and we found and we coded internalization of neoliberal ideological beliefs in terms of individualism, competition and instrumentality, so individualistic explanations for social disadvantage, their own meritocratic beliefs, the belief that others have attained more wealth and affluence because they're somehow better, or they worked harder, the idea of internalized inferiority, but then also this xenophobic scapegoating, basically blame it, say, on immigrants. I will briefly, again, here are the results. One, we could link this to underlying epistemic existential motives and the need to reduce cognitive dissonance. If you talk about epistemic motives, that the need for simplicity, ambiguity, structure, order, certainty, and predictability. So people adhere to these ideologies to have a simple world. But also this piety ideology function means that it helps them to reduce contradictions, say, between the polarization of society, but on the other hand, that also they are told that redistributing measures are bad. So these meritocratic convictions help them to actually bridge this, or you could say, to blindside these problems. The slide in the lower quadrant to the left, I want to briefly talk about, because we see that this rising xenophobia in many Western countries, and we see that the economistic ideology plays a huge part in this. So individualism, blaming refugees to say, well, if they just worked harder in their home countries, they would have made it there. Competition, the idea to see that the host population is somehow in a competition for economic resources with refugees. And the instrumentality, the idea that maybe people seeking refuge have not contributed sufficiently to the own economy. So the idea that my parents have built this up, and what have these people done. And so here we see very closely the direct link. So we confirm system justification theory here. We see these psychological functions of neoliberal ideology to reduce cognitive dissonance, to appease or satisfy these underlying motives, epistemic and existential. But we also see what I told you, this amalgamation, this mix of a market-based ideology and these xenophobic, nationalist, or racist themes that I've called crypto-fascist here. And this qualitative studies allowed us very unique insights how neoliberal ideology is internalized bottom-up, beyond the quantitative studies which I showed you earlier. So I will briefly sum this up in my last two slides here. We found that neoliberal ideology relates negatively to climate protective behavior of participants and attitudes towards refugees and civic engagement for human rights, but also that it reproduces justification and social
Sorry
inequality.
for interruption. You have 2 more minutes, so please.
Thank you very much. That perfectly fits my time schedule. And sorry for talking very fast. So the three conclusions that we have is there may be a self-reinforcing hegemony, in the sense that escalating social economic crisis lead people to more strong or more aggressive support for neoliberal ideologies, because the need for the piety function is higher. And then there's what I call here the social corrosion of false consciousness, the idea that neoliberal economistic ideologies corrode exactly those attitudes and behaviors that could lead to social change, say solidarity, climate protective behavior, responsible behavior. And lastly, what I call this authoritarian and xenophobic turn, which also we can see all around the world, is this amalgamation of free market ideology and these crypto-fascist themes. We also see this in other studies in the connection between neoliberal and system-justified ideology and social dominance orientation, the idea that there are there has to be a social order in society, and there are some groups that are somehow superior, and group-based enmity, so basically hate. So how to break this what I would call a vicious circle of ideology? Well, and establish a counter hegemony, a counter tendency of radical humanist values. It is a central question of critical theory. We have some ideas, but they would go beyond this presentation here. But as I said, the one thing could be to first of all address and deconstruct and criticize the economistic ideology underlying these development. And because I think what is very important to know that if we look at the economy, normally that's the sphere, that's a domain of society that we look on to solve our problems, right? To solve our economic problems, to solve our social problems, maybe also political problems. But what our research and other research shows, that it may actually the economic sphere, the way it's set up, the way it's organized, may actually be the source of these problems. So if we're looking at this sphere for solutions, we're looking in the wrong space. We would have to change the economic space and not expect solutions from there. So I want to finish my presentation with this cartoon that I really like, comparing the idea of unpleasant truth and comforting lies. And you can see people oftentimes would would adhere to these comforting lies that make them feel better, and not face these unpleasant truths. One of these unpleasant truths is, for example, that we're not making progress with climate change. You know, the new numbers are out. In 2024, the carbon dioxide emissions have risen again by 1.3%. So there is no market solution to climate change. That's an unpleasant truth. And people would rather talk about corporate social responsibility and green consumerism. But this will not be the solution to the climate crisis. And similar, we talk about the migration crisis or the social crisis, the crisis of liberal democracy. If we know in history, economic crises have always led to a rise in right-wing populism. And I think this is what we see in many countries. Today, I know many of you are not from Europe, but if you follow the news and also you see the developments in the United States, that is a very concerning development of right-wing populism in many countries, and it threatens democracy, but it's also intermingled, compounding with the complex of rising climate change and the effects of climate change, and changing migration patterns, which is also partly a result of many countries becoming uninhabitable or economic hardships as a consequence of climate change. So with this, I hope I could convey to you the importance of looking at neoliberal ideology, economistic ideology, when we are looking at the aspects of the current socio-ecological crisis. So thank you very much for your patience. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Other than this, you see my email here. Also, please contact me if you're interested. I'm happy to share my slides with you as well. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for sharing your research findings, and we will have Q&A session later. Other participants can come to share their comments, suggestion about this presentation. And now we are moving toward the next paper. That's 870. And the paper title is Any Corruption Policy Strength, SDG 16 Commitments and Corruption Controversies Across the Oil, Gas and Coal Value Chain, to be presented by Evgenia Anagonestunia. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. If you are here, you can come to share your screen and please present your paper. 870. Are you available? The paper ID. Okay, I think she or he may not be here and might send the PPT and to our team, and you can most of the participants whose PPTs are available on the YouTube channel, because many of them cannot come to present here on Zoom, so they usually send the PPT in the video format and we upload it to the YouTube channel. You can later, I will share the screen, you can access to those presentation. And here is another paper ID 898. The paper title is Talk That Matter, an observational study of learner output and error correction strategies in a rural EFL setting, to be presented by Al Gobri. Are you available? 898.
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm here. Okay, I will share.
It's 898.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Let me check. Yes, it's visible.
Okay, so let me just remove the control panel. Okay. Yeah, so welcome everyone. My paper is titled Talk That Matters, an observational study of learner output and error correction strategies in a rural EFL classroom. I'm Omni Al-Juburi, and in collaboration with my friend Eugene Han, we are both from Language and Literacy Department at the College of Education from United Arab Emirates University. So as a start of presenter's biography, Ms. Omnia is a fellowship PhD student in language and literacy at UIEU. She earned her BA in English language from University of Baghdad and completed her master in TESOL from University of Malaya. She's currently a research assistant in early childhood education in the special education department and teaching assistant in early childhood education. She has 5 years of experience in teaching, supervision, and translation. So the abstract of my paper is that as a background, there's existing research emphasis on the role of repair strategies in language development, focusing on error correction and the types and the functions of these strategies. However, there is limited understanding of how these strategies are implemented in early EFL classrooms, what and how prompts are used. So the aim of this paper is to explore these strategies and identify patterns of error correction and repair strategies in these classrooms. The framework is based on Shahada repair categorization and Long's interaction hypothesis. Data were collected through recorded observations and teacher interview. Findings show that teacher-initiated repairs dominate in early grades, and the second finding was that student repair strategies increased with age and language proficiency, um, and then prompts, when combined with sufficient processing time, support learner independence and confidence or autonomy. And the pedagogical implications that there is need to balance the corrective prompts with opportunities for student-initiated repair. So first, I want to start with key terms. Learner output is a spoken or written language produced by learners. It pushes learners to deeply process language, and corrective feedback, according to Lister and Ranta, are responses provided to learners that indicate their language output is problematic, which leads to reflection and repair either by the speaker or by the teacher or the person who initiated the feedback. Repair strategies, according to Shahada, are the methods teachers or learners use to fix errors in learner output. They help learner notice and correct their own errors, leading to self-monitoring and accuracy. So the problem statement that there is a research about corrective feedback and repair strategies in second language acquisition. However, most studies focus at adult education or secondary school, and there is a need to understand how repair strategies function in primary level EFL classrooms, where language learning needs and the interactional dynamics differ, of course, from higher grades or age. And without such insight, teacher may lack developmentally appropriate strategies to foster learner autonomy, confidence, and interactional competence. So the model used here is that there is a trouble source or a mistake or error, and then the teacher or the student will initiate the correction. So it's either self-initiated by the student or other initiated. The outcome is that there is a self-repair by the student or other repair by the teacher or colleagues. And there is a reaction to outcome, which is the response of the teacher or the students after there is a repair. This framework is from Shahada, and it's already adapted from Barrios and Gas. So the methodology was the study context. First is a rural public school in Baghdad in Iraq. It is a primary school where English is a foreign language, and the books are of English language are developed or like made by the Ministry of Education. The participant profile for the teacher, we found her through snowballing. She has bachelor degree from Ibn Rushd College of Education. She's young, non-native Iraqi female teacher with 5 years of experience in teaching EFL in the same school. Participants are from age group 7 to 11. which is equivalent to grades 2 and 6, 2 to 6. Their first language is Arabic. They are mixed gender classrooms, but females are more than males. And the grades lessons were for grade 2, the weekdays. For grade 4, it was grammar. And for grade 6, it was the solar system and grammar. Data collection methods were, as I mentioned, the classroom sessions. So each session was 15 to 30 minutes. The total recorded time was 88 minutes. Simulated recall interview was followed with the teacher later on. The data analysis method was conversation analysis for the student's interaction with the teacher for the observation. And for the teacher interview, it was thematic analysis. So these are the steps for conversational analysis for your reference. The findings for the frequency of repair strategies, as you can see, self-initiated self-repair was the lowest, and it was seen in grades 2, 4, and 6. The learner noticed and corrects their own self, which was the least. Self-initiated other repair, so the student knew that they had an error but couldn't do the correction. The frequency was 7 times in or across the grades. Other initiated self-repair, the teacher said that you have a mistake or not, or gave them a prompt, and they did the repair. It was more than the other kinds. It was 18, and the highest was other initiated other repair, which is when the teacher told them or the students told them about their mistake and they helped them correct it. So it was the highest in frequency. So as, for example, for the findings, self-initiated self-repair in grade 2, the student said wit, and hesitated and then said Wednesday. So the teacher said, very good, Wednesday. So in this example, the student was trying to pronounce the word Wednesday in a lesson, but the student didn't know the first syllable, wit, and then without the prompts from the teacher, the student was able to self-repair him or herself. The self-initiated other repair, as an example of it from grade 6. So as I said, it was about the solar system. The teacher said why Earth is a special planet, and the student said because there is, I don't know the word, and the teacher said because there is life, and the student said yes, life, because there is life. So in this example, the teacher asked the question, the student tried to answer, but noticed that there is a word missing. So she asked the teacher direct help or cue, and that was by saying, I don't know the word. And next example from other initiated self-repair, when in grade 4, the student said there are egg, and the teacher said there are or there is, and the student said there is. And in this example, the teacher used the prompt of like to do other initiation for the repair to bring the attention of the student for this error. And the student ultimately uptook, but not fully independently. It was with the help of the teacher. The other and the final finding example about other initiated other repair, which was the most frequent, when in grade 2, for example, the student said Wednesday. The teacher said not Wednesday, say Wednesday. So the D is silent. In this example, she directly notified the student of his error and corrected the mispronunciation. And the teacher correction was immediate and explicit. So the findings from the post-observation teacher-stimulated recall interview, first about encouragement of self-repair, the teacher uses silence and paraphrasing to guide self-correction. As she said, I let students correct themselves or others by remaining silent when they answer incorrectly and changing the question wording. As for strategic prompting for hesitation, she provides partial cues to support memory recall. As she said, if a student hesitates, I remind them of part of the correct answer. Building the strategies into the lesson plans, she said, yes, I do this by including videos from the internet in the lesson and use them in the class and daily activities. However, she did not explain further how repair strategies are encouraged in these activities. Next, adapting strategies by age group. She said from the first to the fourth grade, her word correction is most effective with the drill and repetition. And higher grades, she gives students more time and more scope for self-correction. Finally, balancing fluency and accuracy, the students' verbal energy is important for the teacher, but of course she focuses on form because it's the most important for exam passing. For the discussion, there is, of course, dominance of teacher-initiated repair and teacher-completed repair. So it was most frequent, especially in grades 2 and 4, the lower grades, which aligns with Shahada, who argues that at lower proficiency levels, learners require direct modeling or scaffolding for language development. The second point is that there is limited instances of learner-initiated and learner-completed repairs. These limitations were especially in lower grades because they had not yet developed the autonomy or confidence to notice and correct their own errors independently. And according to Swain, such moments of pushed output are important for interlanguage development or second language development, as they prompt learners to modify their speech based on received feedback. The final discussion point is that the role of prompts in promoting comprehensible output are very important because through prompts
Sorry
such
for
as
interruption. You have 2 more minutes, please. Thank
okay.
you.
Yes. So these prompts, just like rising annotation, clarification request, or repetition, as we saw in the examples, they are very important to make the students aware of their errors, and they are crucial for language awareness, and they align with Vygotsky theory about the zone of proximal development, in which the students are pushed slightly beyond their current abilities with appropriate supports, or prompts. So in conclusion, the aim of this study was to explore the types and frequency of repair strategies in EFL language classrooms across different age or grade levels, focusing on the balance between teacher and student initiated repairs. Findings showed that other repair where the teacher identified or corrected the students was most common, especially in lower grades. This approach supports early language development, but offers limited chances for learners to reflect on their own errors. So in summary, while direct correction is useful for beginner students, there is a need to balance these strategies and tailor them to support learners' developmental uh, language acquisition. So finally, I want to acknowledge and extend my thanks to Dr. Ali Shahada for his valuable feedback about this research. And I provided the list of my references, appendix for the research or interview questions, and the second appendix for the lessons used by the teacher in the observed classrooms. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for sharing your research findings, and participants
Thank you.
welcome to join the Q&A session for this presentation. Okay, coming toward the next paper, that's 853, the paper ID 853, and the paper title is The Role of Water Footprint and Water Sustainability in Achieving Sustainable Development in Iraq, to be presented by Akkad S. Bashar. 853.
Oh, okay. Hello. Good morning, everyone. I'm Assistant Prof. Akid Bashar from Iraq, Nukhba University College, specialized in agricultural economic. The research is on agricultural policy entitled The Role of Water Footprint and Water Sustainability in Achieving Sustainable Development in Iraq. Just let me to show you the video. Just 1 minute. Hello. Yes, this is the first slide. It's about general information. It's the introduction is about it refers that many regions face serious water scarcity, especially that's used in agricultural production, and demand for agricultural water appears increasing worldwide due to many factors such as rapid economic development and expansion of the agricultural sector. So, paying attention to the relation between total water consumption in local communities and global structure is required. At the end, according to the interest that occurred in new concepts of water resource, such as water footprint, and virtual water, we adopt a group of studies within an important project called actually your water footprint, your water security. The study problem is about the critical scarcity of water resources in Iraq. It is the time to prepare what is called water footprint map for agricultural. This is to include all sectors and link export and imports according to that. The link will be or will occur by using the important concept of water, as we mentioned, footprint and food and water sustainability. Therefore, the study in Iraq exceed that other countries. On the other hand, the water sustainability index is low in Iraq. That was the study problem. The method, we used many factors that should take into account when estimating and calculating the virtual water footprint of any product. Such as the location and season of the product, measuring the amount of water used in irrigated production, and also the efficiency of water used, calculating and include wasted water, also the ratio of virtual water for inputs to that of content of the commodity final production or crop. To achieve all this, to achieve the objectives of this study, it is based on descriptive economic analysis and also quantitative economic analysis. Some indicators and criteria were applied to calculate the water footprint and virtual water for the wheat crop, rice, potatoes, and tomatoes. That was the themes. They were quantity of the water, as mentioned before, and virtual quantity of imported water, and external and internal water footprint. Also, percentage of both external water resources and self-sufficiency in local water resources. Okay, to be brief, in table 2, in table 1, here actually the water footprint and its indicators for the wheat crop in Iraq during the duration from 2000 till 2024, and the table number 2. Just 1 minute. Table number 2 is about, we explain in table number 2 the water supply and demand in Iraq from the same period, 2000 until 2024. Actually, it's take too long time to explain the table, so the findings will explain it in conclusions, it goes with the points, actually specific points that based on Water Sustainability Index, Iraq is considered a country with low water sustainability. And the studies crops, especially wheat and rice, that we take as a model in our research, um, they are water intensive and therefore have a high water footprint. So it was a right choice to study. Okay. Water policy in Iraq focus on increasing the available supply of water resources and in the same time regard the actual demand for water resources from agricultural sector. The recommendations are incorporating the virtual water strategy into water resources management. And the important step is to linking agricultural policies with water and economic policies to achieve water and food security goals. Also adapting agricultural policies that improve water management and usage and incorporating the true costs of water resources into the production cost of goods, especially water intensive goods. Finally, I'd like to thank you all for your efforts on establishing that conference and to thank my partner who work in this who work with me in this paper, Dr. Basim. Thank you very much for your listening.
Thank you so much for sharing your research findings, and we will have Q&A session. Someone who has comments, question for this paper can come to share in the Q&A session. And now we are moving toward, can you please stop sharing? Oh, okay, I will stop for you. Okay, so we are coming to the next presenter. And the paper ID is 877 ESG oriented supply chain management and battery manufacturing, to be presented by Shithong Lu. Are you available? 877. Okay, good. 877. That's 118. Okay. 877. Can you please come to present your paper? Is this 877? It's not 877. It's the last one, I think. So 877 basically not available here in the Zoom. So we are coming toward 892. And the paper title is an examination of the relationship between individual innovativeness and cyber-human values of management information systems students, to be presented by Isgundos. Okay,
Okay.
I already
Okay,
see
it's me.
you.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
892.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Şemsettin Gündüz, and I am currently an associate professor in Department of Management Information Systems at Necmettin Erbakan University, located in Konya, Turkey. My academic background is in instructional technologies with a particular focus on human-computer interaction, artificial intelligence, and individual innovations. Over the past 3 years, I have been involved in various academic and research projects that align with my passion for STEM and individual innovations. I am delighted to be here today to share insights and engage in meaningful discussion. I want to introduce my country. Turkey is a unique country that connects Europe and Asia, blending cultural heritage with modern development. With a population of 85 million, it is known for its historical landmarks, vibrant cities, and diverse landscape. And Konya is one of the oldest cities in the world, located in the heart of Anatolia. It is best known as the home of Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi, the 13th century Sufi mystic and poet. Founded in 2010, Necmettin Erbakan University is a public university located in Konya. It offers a wide range of undergraduate and graduate programs across various disciplines. Information technology and innovations impact every aspect of human life as they bring change to social life. With the rapid growth of knowledge economy, the role of higher education in cultivating innovative talent has become increasingly important. Universities and research institutes are believed to hold a significant place in the future of countries. Rogers defined innovation as the emergence of ideas or elements perceived as new by others. Innovation can be seen as the fundamental criterion for goodness, advancement, and development. Those who are aware of the benefits of for fostering innovation constantly seek ways to participation in innovation to maintain their success. Furthermore, it is believed that an individual who is open to innovation may also be open to change in their values. This change is of great importance. Human values play a key role in determining, guiding individuals' approach, attitudes, and behaviors. According to 2023 and 2024 higher education statistics, over 7 million students are enrolled in higher education in Turkey.
Those slides are not moving.
Okay.
We only see the first slide.
Okay, the slide is here. Okay, no problem. The study, okay. Sorry, there is, sorry. There is two project, project hypothesis. The project is based on investigating participants' individual innovations and cyber-human values and the relationship between them. In this context, the project hypotheses are as follows. Hypothesis 1, the level of individual innovations varies according to demographic variables. 2, cyber-human values vary according to demographic variables. And 3, there is a positive relationship between the level of individual innovations and cyber-human values. And this project was designed to use used a relational survey model. This model is used to determine the relationship, if any, between multiple variables, as well as the level and direction of this relationship. The research will identify university students, individual innovations, and human values. Comparison will be made based on gender, department, economic division, academic achievement, and social competencies. And the relationship between the variables will be explored. Research sample, the research sample consists of 213 students studying at Necmettin Erbakan University during the spring semester of last year. Data collection tools. There are three data collection tools: the individual innovation scale, and the cyber human value scale, and personal information for developed by researchers. The individual innovation scale consists 20 items and 4 dimensions, and cyber human values scale consists of 5 factors and 25 items. And results, the students' individual innovations levels. It can be said that individual innovations characteristics of students are in the early adapters category according to evaluation criteria created by the scale development. When subscale scores are compared, it can be seen that the highest mean score belongs to be openness to experience, and the lowest mean score belong to resistance to challenge factor. Individual innovations did not vary by gender. Students with higher academic achievement were found to have significantly further levels of both individual innovations. Students with higher levels of innovations tended to use digital technologies more intensively. Students' cyber human values. According to findings, participants demonstrate a good level of cyber human values. Among the human values, students most frequently embraced solidarity and least frequently tolerance. Female students were found to possess higher levels of human values than male students. Students with higher academic achievement were found to have significantly higher levels of human values. No significant difference were found in cyber human values based on digital technologies usage. One of the key findings in the study is that there is a moderate positive correlation between individual innovations and human values. Accordingly, as students' levels of individual innovations increase, their levels of human values also tend to rise. It can be inferred that more innovation students may also internalize values such as honesty, solidarity, and peace at a higher level based on this finding. It is recommended that curriculum developers include course content and activities that foster both innovations and human values. Furthermore, researchers are encouraged to investigate whether human values influence innovations or vice versa. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your research finding, and I think that was the last presentation. And
Yes.
now we are coming toward the Q&A session. So those who have question or suggestions, comments for the participants, or if you have questions regarding the conference or other things, we can discuss it here in the Q&A session. So we can start the Q&A session now. Thank you. Any question? And I will start from the 856. Thank you so much. I think your study is quite important and very robust methodology you used for conducting your study. I have just two questions. One is a general question and one is a specific question. As a general question, you mentioned about new liberal ideologies and the consequences in the form of climate crisis and problems for the disadvantaged. And I didn't understand much because I didn't read your full paper. But as I listened to and I saw your presentation, you mentioned some suggestion and recommendation as well, but I'm just curious about if you can tell us, especially me, that how can we having a solution or having some suggestions regarding these problems, even we know that such ideologies are backed by strong state powers, like it's not possible without state powers. So how can we look into the state power matter and the state power connection with the state new liberal ideologies and the problems it produced? That's just a general question. And the second specific question is that maybe you didn't include or I didn't cite about the ethical consideration in your study. What kind of ethical consideration you taken into account while writing this manuscript, and how can you include this while submitting it to a peer-reviewed journal? So that will be, I think, very much helpful for your manuscript. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very much. These are great questions. And the first one, of course, it's a huge question. What can we do with this? And also the question between state power and maybe economic power of private corporations. I think we see a merge between the two increasingly. We talk about political economy, right? So state actors increasingly represent business interests. We can answer your questions like on two levels. One, what should we do like structurally, politically, and economically? And the other question is, what should we do psychologically? And it's a psychological study. But structurally, I think, of course, they're actually quite common sense, minor things that we could do and that have been existed before to rein in, to limit the rule of the often destructive rule of, say, international financial markets. You know, you can regulate those. You can governments, states can regulate markets, which they do in many areas, right? But not in others. So, for example, one issue: why can people not cross borders, but capital can without basically any hindrances, and people cannot. And so the question on the structural level would be, of course, to strengthen social systems, to introduce measures to decrease social inequality, which is rampant, right? And you can do this by progressive taxes, tax capitals, increasing, strengthening social systems. So all the measures that we know that we can implement to decrease social inequality. In many the European countries, these measures have existed in the form of the social state, the welfare state, right, which was based on the experience of the world economic crisis before the Second World War, said like an economy that is unregulated, that increases these inequalities, will in the end result in crisis. And these crises have, in Europe, led to the rise of fascism in the Second World War, right? And based on these experiences, the social state, the welfare state, was implemented with strong restrictions on the economy and redistributing measures. When we talk about neoliberalism, we talk about the development since like the 80s, where the corporate world, the economy has increasingly gotten rid of these achievements of the welfare state. And we see often the explanation would be that there's no money, right? So, oh, we cannot afford this anymore. But if you look at the way the wealth is distributed, there's, of course, as you know, there's no shortage of money. There's a huge amount of money. It's just very polarized, very unequally distributed. So that would be the structural level. Like I said, we would have to rein in the economy and basically get the economy in a place again where it serves the people, but all the people, not only right now we have a very small political economic elites who profit from the economy, as is, and that's not something I'm just saying, as you know, and I showed you the number, 1% of the global population has like more than 50% of the wealth. That's insane, right? So we would have to well, redistribute. And also the other thing is the world, this planet, cannot take much more growth. Growth always leads, there's no perfect decoupling. Growth always leads to more environmental damage, and especially to more climate greenhouse gas emissions. So in order to implement progress, we have to redistribute within countries, but also between countries. And it's not a completely new idea, but we have to take into account that there are limits to growth, and our current economic system is very much based on growth. And by definition, this will not be sustainable. And so that would be the structural level. And I think that there are plenty of things that we can do that have been done. And it's not like this would be a completely utopian, right? But now, answer your question on the second one, in what would we do on the psychological level? And I think on the psychological level, it's very important to break up these ideologies, because you're right, there are very strong actors behind this on the structural level, but they're also very strong in our heads. So the idea, you know, like competition is always good, and we are all responsible for everything that happens in our life. Well, yes, on the one hand we are, but on the other hand, there are structure inequalities. We know that the best predictor of your wealth is, in many countries, the wealth of your family, right? So, or the social arrangement that you're born into. So it is not true that you can achieve everything in meritocratic ideology, and often is counterfactual. But I think so. In our approach would be, and I'm a psychologist, I'm not a political scientist or even economist, but our point would be to start in the heads and to get people to understand that many of these things that they are taught to believe are wrong and need to be questioned. Because they become what Antonio Gramsci says, hegemony means common sense. It means that people cannot think alternatives anymore, and they cannot think that there is alternatives to this financial capitalism, these financial markets, and everything is based on competition and shareholder value. And so our point would be to get people to think, say, the area, like I said, of society, the economic domain where we looked for the solutions of our problems may actually be the source of them, and we need to be much more critical with this. So our point would be to break up these ideologies in people's heads, so then people can question these ideologies. And of course, that's also our belief that once you start questioning wrong beliefs, this kind of what we call this false consciousness, this may ideally extend to other areas in your life. So basically, the critique of ideology stands in the philosophical tradition of enlightenment. In enlightenment in two senses, right? Enlightenment in terms of the philosophical movement of enlightenment, to see beyond wrong accounts. In this case, the enlightenment was against the feudal systems, but also enlightenment in terms of personal, spiritual, psychological growth. So that was a long answer to this question, but I hope it's understandable how they come together. So there's a structural economic answer, which means we need to introduce measures that reduce inequality, but there's also a psychological answer, and maybe this comes together in the fact that people will have to also find new meaning in life, not only in consumption patterns and increasing consumption, because our world, our planet is just not going to take this. It's an unsustainable lifestyle, and we need to, and green consumption obviously doesn't cut it. It may not be a wrong step in the wrong direction, but it gives people a wrong impression that this would help if we all just have green energy or drive electric cars. This would improve the situation. I think it doesn't. So it would really be a rethinking ourselves versus the economy, and as I said, on the structural level and on the psychological, and I believe a good place is to start on the psychological level, so that people question what they take for granted. They question this common sense. And I hope this answers your question to some extent. And or maybe your comment.
No, it's good. It's very well explained answer, and I got it. Thank you.
So thank you so much. You really you answered. You put your finger on exactly the question that people will that interests people. So what now? What can we do now? And of course, sometimes it said, well, that's utopian. But I say no, it's not utopian. It's actually dystopian that we don't see there's an alternatives. As you know, as humans, we're very inventive. Systems have changed. There are alternatives. There always are alternatives, and a different world is possible. So thank you very much for this question. The second one I can answer pretty briefly, and it's also an important question because you asked about what we did from a research ethics perspective, I believe, right? And so yes, the two bigger things that we do in quantitative research is that you ask for informed consent, right? That people know that this is voluntary, that you assure them that your confidentiality and anonymity of data, that nobody will find them, or that data will be treated carefully. Also, we have very strong data laws here. So in the end, anonymity is a central part here, and that it's voluntary and they can break off every time. It was an online survey, so people know this anyway, but it also depends on how you then store the data and all. And many countries, there is like an ethics commission or internal review board that would check those applications. In our case, in the quantitative studies, it was not very intrusive, so they wouldn't be asked any very revealing or sensitive questions. It's more sensitive. It's more of an issue, of course, in the qualitative study, because there is no anonymity, right? People, even if you don't know names, people talk. They will be recorded, so that is always more sensitive. Also, if you give a description, even of course there are names there which are pseudonyms. That is, of course, not their names. But if you could theoretically, I think, see who fits these description, these characteristics. So here it is actually much more important, and also maybe during the interviews, some issues may come up that people were not aware of. And in our case, we talked about with people in precarious life situations and long-term unemployment, maybe they get realizations about their situation that makes them feel bad, that causes psychological suffering, right? And so you would, the interviewer in this case asked of the study whether this was all, try to debrief, what you call a debriefing, how they felt about the interview, whether all this was okay, offering the possibility, of course, to contact her again after the interview if they still want to talk about something. So I think your point is also spot on. It's also very good. We're doing research. We have to be very responsible with our research subject and research participants, especially in qualitative research. This may be, if you talk about sensitive issues, traumas, this could lead to a re-traumatization. And the last thing you want to do with the research is cause any harm. And what I said earlier about, yes, you want to break up people's mental models, but I think also you have to be very careful in doing this. So that's what you can do. You ask for informed consent. You have your university internal review boards. We have, for this kind of study, we have some general acceptance, general guidelines. You have to be very careful about the data, especially which did not do it, but especially if you link, say, individual data and data by supervisors, say performance data or external ratings, which we didn't do. But then, of course, it becomes especially sensitive. So that there's no feedback, say, on employee data, say, to managers or supervisors. And I know this is an issue in some countries, some contexts. So we have to, as researchers, our research integrity has to come first. And especially, like saying qualitative data, do some debriefing, offer the possibility of people to come back and talk to you and seek support. So I think this is what we can do in what we did. Thank you so much.
It's very
Also,
good, very good, well explained, and I hope the other participants also need to do all these things which you mentioned are very much important, not only for qualitative research but for quantitative research as well. Especially when you are submitting your paper to a peer review journal, especially in social sciences, they will always ask you these things, whether you have taken the consent, informed consent, you have taken permission from your department, IIARB, the internal review board, and all these things are very much important for the social science papers, and you need to mention and you need to include such a statement in the manuscript before submitting it to the journal. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good questions. Thanks again.
Thank you. Okay, any other question from other participants regarding other presenters? If you have no such a question for the papers, especially, you can ask other questions such as journal publication regarding the conference, if you have question related to certificates or other things, please. And here I will share the YouTube link. As I mentioned before, that you can access to this link and you can see those presentations, the people who were not able to present it live in Zoom, you can see it here in the YouTube channel website. Yeah, here is the link I share, and I will also share our contact information, info@iiarp.org. It's our email, and I will also share our WhatsApp. This is very much important for you if you have any follow-up questions regarding your manuscript or other things. You can add this number. I think everyone nowadays using WhatsApp, so that will be more convenient for us and you to come and ask questions if you have any, and we will try to solve it quickly. Yes, 601137963849. This is one of our coordinator number, and he's mostly living in Malaysia. That's why the number is from Malaysia. So you can add this number, and you can ask questions if you have regarding your papers or conference, anything else. That's very important number. WhatsApp number. Yeah. Any other question if you have any? If you don't have any question, so we are coming toward a group photo. If you can open your cameras, all the participants here on the screen, and I will take one photo. Please open your cameras. Thank you. Few more. Thank you. One more. Chen Xia Sin. Can you please open your camera? If not, it's also okay. Okay. Thank you so much. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Thank you. It's done. Okay, good. Okay, so I hope that today all the participants enjoyed this session, this virtual session. And it was really a very great experience with all the participants. And I saw that all the papers presented in this session were good, with the good research ideas and good research efforts, with good methodologies and achievable objectives. And but still, I think we need to improve our manuscript in light of the reviewer comments or any other comments which we receive from the journals or other places. We need to improve it, and after that, if we publish it, it will be helpful in the scholarly and I mean to other scholars. And the improvements are always possible in every manuscript. So the manuscript need to be improved before submission, and I hope that after that it will not be refused or declined by the peer review journals. That's about the session, Q&A session. And I need to mention it here that after this session, you will get your certificates, the certificates for the conference participation and the proceedings as well, in the soft form through your email. And we will send it to you immediately after the session. You can get it through your email. So pay attention to your email, please. And yes, let me check. Someone is sending me messages regarding this session. Okay. So it's better. Can you please ask any question in the Zoom chat box, not on WhatsApp? Please ask here, because I don't know in the WhatsApp who is asking the question. It's better you can ask it here in the Zoom or in the chat box if you want. Here, the Zoom chat box. I mean the Zoom chat box. If you have question, you can ask it here, please. If no question, then I think we can end this session. And later, if you have questions which you don't have now in your mind, you can ask it later through WhatsApp or through email. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yes, okay.
Thank you.
Maybe
So
sorry, maybe my last question. Sorry for being late. But you will publish the proceedings on your website, right? I think.
yeah, it's on our website and another website with the DUI. So yeah, that's published on our website.
And you send us the link so we can access it.
Yeah, we will send you the link.
Perfect. Thanks so much. I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Okay. So that's all from my side. And if no other question, I will end this session now.
I have a question. So
Yeah.
the certificate will be only for the presenter or the co-author also?
For the
You will,
co-author as well.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, all the authors in the paper
Yes,
you sent. Yeah.
yes, all the authors. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Sir, as you instructed me, I have texted in WhatsApp as well as mailed them. I have asked you some questions before the session started.
Yeah, please add the
I'm done with
WhatsApp
it. Yeah,
and
both.
all your questions will be answered in the WhatsApp.
Yes, sir. I
Yeah.
have mailed them as well as texted them in WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Which I
Good.
asked you.
Very good.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So I will finish it this session. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you very much. Have a good